So I guess my initial inspiration was because I've experimented with a few animations here and there on my own channel. So you see how I did you got the fighting stuff, you got whatever animation, you got some character acting, and I wanted to try something a bit more different where I can actually dive into storytelling because it's something that's like really important and something that's like really motivates me to create animation. So I thought, what can be easy to storytell without voice acting? And I thought music videos are a very great way to storytell things. And so I decided to think about the story. So I thought about things that probably hit home with me a bit more, such as mental illness and domestic abuse and such. And then so I thought, how can I incorporate these kind of things into something where I can also mix in action scenes or like fight scenes that I also enjoy doing and to really challenge myself because it's been a while since I've done any fight scenes, so I really want to get into the game again there. So I thought, hey, maybe I can create like a metaphorized world of this child running away from some monster, and then he imagines himself growing up fighting away these monsters and such. And thought of the story, I wrote them down on a Word document, and after that I then start setting up the scenes, and by writing down sentences of like how the scenes are gonna be placed and what camera angles are gonna be used. And also I also delegated that to like help separate the different worlds by showing the boys world as like a pale, dark and grim place, while the guys world is bright with hope, with a feeling of hope and such. So you can see the composition has like the difference, the lighting and all the colors and such are all like very different to help separate them.
Did you work on them in sequence from start to finish, or
most of them are in sequence. I like was it so the first part of the animation I started first, and the last part of the animation I did last. But I did one thing out of sequence, which is the second fight scene. It's this one right here. This one I left a little bit later in the end because I still did not have a good grasp at fight scenes and such. So I like moved that a little back and did a few more. I actually began doing some figure practices. I haven't done any figure drawings in like a year or something. I don't know how long it has been, but I've recently started picking it up again to really help practice my poses and these kind of choreography and such. And that's like the only thing I did out of sequence, but most are within sequence.
did you look at reference when you did these fight scenes, or did you choreograph it like yourself?
I'm just a random skinny Asian. I can't even I can't even fight.
you could wrestle like a plushie. That's how I shoot some.
Oh, that's true. That's true. That's very true. So to answer Aisha's question, I did not choreograph any of the fight scenes by myself, like in person. I am the weakest person in the world, so I looked through many different fight videos, or like action stunts performance.
Yes.
To gather. So usually when I start thinking about how to do the fight sequence, I just spend like an hour or two just looking through all the videos that I could find, or like in my playlist. And after finding all the information I needed, I then just have like a general broad idea of what I want to do. And after that general broad idea, I just like started just sketching and be very spontaneous. So like if this guy moves his hand this way, this guy should duck, or if this guy kicks this way, this guy should block and such. So it's very spontaneous and it's just very like right at the moment of trying to like problem solve like right then and there. So that's kind of like how I did my fight scene. Yeah, very loose, very broad. I don't plan them out as much.
Regarding the ending, when I read, like reading the description, you say that he unfortunately succumbs to it.
Yeah.
So like, does he succumb to being an abusive parent, or does he?
I guess.
Or does he?
The succumbing basically means sort of just being like, how would I say? Sort of just losing his mind and sort of just mentally just lost his way and sort of like suicide and such. And then, but at the end, he imagines himself to be like free from his real life, or like his awful position, to like finally escaping it. And I remember Social Animation was asking how long it took. you can find it in the description. It took me 271 hours, which was
Wow.
which is actually less than what I thought. I would have thought I would put in 300 plus hours, and 49 days, which is actually very quick.
That's a quick turnaround. Damn.
As long, that was quick. Like,
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah,
Seriously.
thank you. Yeah, like my previous work, like what is it? Let me find the previous work. This one took 160 plus hours, but 3.5 months to make. This one took 79 hours and took 1.5 months to make. So I did that in the same time as this, but with an extra 200 hours.
Interesting.
So yeah, thank you to all of you guys, like in the screen share chat, giving me company while I work on this thing, because it really makes me so productive. Okay, any more questions?
We'll always have our support.
Thank you so much.
How long was your pre-production stage?
Our pre-production stage, it's actually really short. I don't do too much pre-planning, so I actually did my storyboards while I did my animation. So when I'm on like scene 1, I storyboarded scene 1, and then I went straight to animating after I did my storyboard. So this is the Clip Studio Paint of my storyboard. It's very barren. You can see how there's only 14 frames.
Very basic, but
Very
it
basic.
works.
Yeah, this is all I really have. Not much. And then by like frame 14 or so, by frame 13, I just like, you know what, frick it, I had enough. And I decided to, and then this, yeah.
Because that's what real productions do.
Yeah. So then I just went off by my Word document right here. So I actually yeah, so this is where I like did my writing, like my first pre-planning of the production of this animation project. This is where it all began. So this is like also like the brief summary of like how, like what's gonna happen, and like what's the boy's past, and then I also plan out the shots by writing down what's gonna happen and the camera angle that's used, and also the timing, or like what time it's gonna specifically happen in the shot. I highlight them when I finish the cut. So yeah, so I can like keep on track on what's been worked on and what hasn't been worked on. So that's sort of my pre-production. My pre-production has been like really short. I went straight to animation.
Were there parts that you now, after you finished, wanted to change?
Oh, what do I want to change? Maybe the fight scenes, I would say, because obviously I still really struggle with it. You can see how, let's see, how broken some of these stuff are. Like, look at that
Kind of a broken joint there.
Yeah,
You
there.
know, 10.
Yeah?
I have to say though, when it comes to broken joints and stuff
Yeah.
like that, you can, if you know how to properly break the form,
Yeah.
you can actually use that to really exaggerate the animation.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Richard Williams dedicated a whole chapter in his book into that. So
Yeah.
don't feel like what you did here is like lacking or anything like
Yeah,
that, because
yeah.
it's like, you know,
Yeah.
it was good. It's a very good effort you got going on here.
Yeah.
A lot of times, those, like, if you have like a frame that looks a little wonky, that's
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
because as long as it sells in movement, like, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. But the problem is really, it's just like I still don't exactly have the poses down correctly, and some of the movement is a bit too janky. Like there's a lot of broken frames that sometimes the movement doesn't really piece together. And I like some broken frames really can make animations flow really well. So you know how you got arms like bending the wrong way? I like those. I like doing those. It's just that there's too many broken frames to like exactly sell those kind of movement. I just never really got to it, and I was like, what is it? Also afraid of filming myself. But I'll try that next time. When I get the chance to
Yeah.
like do something
10,
similar.
you gotta film yourself.
Yeah, I
You
gotta film
do
myself. I
it.
haven't done that before, so I gotta have to really practice and learn how to really film myself and do things.
How did you get so awesome? Tell us the truth.
I guess the biggest thing that made me so quote-unquote awesome was really just to do what I was really passionate about. And what I was really passionate about was really just trying to be able to tell my own story and being able to convey story through animation, through that video that you like just saw. And that's even despite how much time it took, I like that passion and that drive to like continue doing it. It's just I just continue pushing forward and just finished it. So yeah, that's one. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Spider-Man. Okay. Any more other questions before I move on? So after all the pre-planning stage on the Word document and a bit of the storyboarding I did over here, I then moved on to the animating, which is actually quite simple. So let me just pull it out for you. Here it is. So this is the entire animation. There's actually like very few layers. I separate folders from line work here to the sketch lines and to like the background work and such over here. And I also create this little custom little template board thing to sort of put my animation over on top. So you can see like the resolution of the image, 3000 to 2000, and I made this 2560 to what 1440p because I need to do zoom ins into the picture, and I want to make sure that I at least retain a few like how would I say, like details when I need to zoom in and such, rather than have it too blurry. There's the sketch over here. It's very jank, and so I just for sketching I don't do like a rough sketch of how the character looks like. I just only do these little character box shapes to really tell myself like, oh, how's the character gonna position and such. And here you can also see little arrows here, little black arrows over here. So when I animate like certain scenes that require like more heavy movements, I usually like to draw these little arrows to show like how the character is going to move throughout the scene. Like the arrow tells them like they're going to move, like turn this way or turn that way. And you can see how the arrow has the leg leading up to the face of the dude. You can see how there's the kick like over there. So those arrows really help me tell myself how things are going to position. And I also draw these X's as like in-betweens to show me like where the rough positions of like how the body's going to move. Like you got this elbow over here, elbow here moves over to this X over here. You got this face over here that moves over to this X over here. You got like that, you see, kind of thing. And then the line just leads where the end position is. That's how I do my in-betweening sometimes when I like animate like big large movements. So like at least time the head movement, time the arm movement, position and such. And I think that's the basis of how I did my sketching most of the time. And then you can see after all that sketching, I do the line work over on top. Let me just, yeah, you can see it's a bit inconsistent because I like move around the frames a bit, move around the positions and such. But yeah, I just trace over or like draw over them with the characters and such. And then the backgrounds, I move the backgrounds using like Adobe Animate's camera moving feature over here, or sometimes moving the background itself, like this one. You can see how there's the tweens and such that show how the background moves. Like this, when I want the animation to not move as much, like this. You see how like these the panning moves the lines, however the panning over on the background here doesn't move the character, it keeps them stable, so it doesn't make it look too weird. That's there's not too much to it, I guess. The following scenes just mostly on loops, just loops of animation. Like this. I'll move on to the next thing. So after all the line work, I separate the shots into like different folders to then be able to color. So then I separate all the shots separately into different flash files like this. This is to allow me to sort of easily export them shot by shot at least. It's for me to then input it into Clip Studio Paint to then color, because Adobe Animate's coloring feature is awful. Paint bucket feature is awful, so I use Adobe Animate to do all the coloring. So there's like a jump through hoops to process the animation frames into to only keep the unique frames, which takes a bit of time to explain. So I might explain this a little later somewhere in like maybe another video or something. I just color it using the paint bucket tool or like a plugin that I used by, I believe it was some animator like Nika I think, Nicca. She had a plugin for the anime paint bucket and anime pen, and that's what I use to do the coloring in this Clip Studio Paint. And after all of that, I then export them as animation cells and then timed it out on the Adobe animation file. And after all of that, I then go through the final step of compositing and like also doing the background. So I did them in Photoshop. So you can see the background over here.
Nice background.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, like that's what caught my eye. That's one of the things that caught my eye as well.
How I did these backgrounds is I'm still very bad at drawing backgrounds, so I need help. So what help I can get is finding references of not only the buildings and the architecture I need, but also the camera angles. So let me just find my ideating file. So you can see how I got a bunch of photos. These are mostly from European villages or Swiss Alps. You got all these little images. I just captured all these on I captured a lot of these images through Google Images. They've provided lots of good image reference. You can see the similarities of this image with this one. You can see the similarity. So it's sometimes like trace a few items over here and there, and also copy some of their perspective over here. Here it is. You can see this angle right here, like it's so close to the ground, and this perspective is like really close to the ground. And this is like one of the perspective I copied for like one of the dark figures, like looking through the window and walking up, like that extremely high angle that I did. So yeah, these are like many of the references I took, or like got ideas from. You can see that very high angle, and this is the window side that I used. So I copied a lot of their perspectives of images I could find that matches the perspective I want, like this, like right on the floor, and also like find references and ideas to like further ideate and find for the architecture and buildings that I've drawn for the stuff. And how I drew the backgrounds is most of the time I just drew them in like full color, like main color like this. And I maybe like add a few little details here and there, like I add like little color differences between each other, maybe some textures, you know, over here, you got some grass over here. And then after all of this, I then add the lighting, which is just using multiply over, just multiply the entire place, like this, to make a, like to represent like shadows. And sometimes I add extra lighting over on top of it, like to represent other kinds of lighting, like other deep, like darker shadows and such, if need be. I really struggle with the buildings because their inorganic shape is sometimes really difficult to draw, especially their like plain like colors and stuff. That's very different when compared to like mountains and forests, which are a bit more easier for me to draw, or grass. But I guess that's sort of my process. So there's just a lot of going like drawing in the layer.
No, I mean, are you planning to implement like using 3D assets into your pipeline, or just making yourself shots, or testing the camera?
I plan to use 3D elements in my animations and future animations, specifically on Blender. I really want to learn it rather than like, because I currently have Blender open, but I only have placed like 3D models in here to use as reference as either muscles or facial shape.
Using Blender just because maybe Blender may help you on the pre-production stages just to plan the shots easily. Like you can just set up like a basic scene with the primitives and just play around with the camera itself.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's a very good idea. That's something I could definitely possibly use in this in future animation projects I would do. So moving on, we got the last stage, which is compositing. And for compositing, I don't know exactly how to really talk about it, because it's just like for compositing, I just did tons of layers, tons and tons and tons, to like do like shadows over here or like certain lighting effects. Let me just find it. To achieve this dark look, I just like added like many different tints, gradients, to sort of like match the scene towards the color of the average scene, like really match the place. Also use some lumetri color, which helps changes the color to sort of match it a bit more too. And since I calibrated the frames into alias form, so they're all hard pixels, I use an anti-alias tool over here from 𝘼𝙀𝙇𝙔𝙎 to help me soften the edges. So let me just quickly go to full. So you can see how these lines are here. Let me just remove this. And you can see the jagged lines over now. So I use this anti-alias to help me blur the lines up a little bit. So yeah, and that's the basics of my After Effects. It's just lots of layers of masks and colors and such, and then some of the more complex scenes at the end of the animation. So the tons of video effects and such, you can like have a look at that. You can see how many how crazy I went with everything here. You got
next time when you try to do those kinds of shots, just give me a call. I'll help.
Yeah, thank you, Luke. You've been like a good help to me for like the compositing stage of the animation. So yeah, you can see all this different layers, all this different color uses and stuff, all here. They all like separate. You got blurs and you got many color corrections, adjustment layers. Look at all this adjustment layers, filters and bottom filters, plus a lot of video effects. You got the let's see, like film damage to get that old rustic look, and also those little dust particles on the frame of the image. After I've done all the compositing in this at this stage, I then export it into media encoder so I can batch export it, batch render them all together as a queue. And also media encoder just is much like renders things a lot quicker than rendering it in After Effects. So yeah, so I got all these scenes of all these different shots, and after I completed all these shots, I go through the last step of through editing in Premiere Pro. So that's why I pieced together all the videos and everything. I actually removed all the rendered files because it took up a lot of space. For some reason in After Effects, when I export it, the timing is still doesn't match up with the music I had in plan. So sometimes it ends up a little short or ends up a little too long for some reason. So I had to do some manual readjustment of the timing of the animation here. So you can see how it's 99.5% the speed, and you can see how it's 100.49% of the speed. So yeah, I kept all these into like, I just nest them into like a bunch of nests to like put them all together so I can be able to change the speed duration and make them in constant speed. I then added whatever effects I needed to the animation, such as lighting and such, and after that I was pretty much done with the animation, I think, by that point. Oh, I completely forgot character designing. Yes, character designs. So this is just so this is my character design sheet over here. Right here you got the characters here. So then for the characters, of course, I love drawing buff dudes, so I gotta draw one right here. The two for good measure.
You have a buff dude, you needed to have like a buff woman as well.
Yeah, maybe. The character, and you got the line work, and then you also got the pre-sketch under here. And then I just used my paintbrush and just like crudely painted the edges, like crudely painted the characters and such. I didn't really accurately paint them. I just need the color, the average color. And after I'm done with all the random coloring, I actually don't do too much thinking and the color palette of the characters, because I do not know color theory, and I just went with whatever I felt like is okay enough or matches the character or something. I actually don't know how to do anything. So yeah, so I did the lines, and I also added the color palettes of the characters down here, and like the clothing color, their skin color, and this is the color for their teeth, and this is for their tongue, and this is for the inside of their mouth. Oh yes, one important information I forgot is the dark figure over here. So since I was initially trying to incorporate fight scenes into my animation, I also wanted to try other way to draw the characters. So I thought about some way that could make it much more easier to create these fight scenes in the animation that I was doing. Let me just show very quickly. Here, there it is. So you see all these boxy characters here. I wanted to try find a good way to not only make it easier for me to draw and do fight scenes, but also like, yes, so I did that. I just created this boxman to make it easier for me to draw this fight scenes a bit more, rather than drawing like full-fledged characters with like clothing designs and such. I made these characters, the box characters, into like a blue line over here. This is for me to like post-process it in After Effects to change the colors. There it is. Alright, so I'll pull it up. So basically, let's see, the original. So the character originally looks like this. Let me just zoom in. So it's just this blue outline from the animation over here with that very dark grayish tone that I use for the character. And so what I do is I post-process it in After Effects by singling out the blue line. So let me just quickly just show an example. So quickly single out the blue lines using OLM killer key to like key out the colors. And then after I keyed out the colors, I then I replaced the color with the bright yellow that I wanted for the character over here. Using P, replace color, and after that I use a bit of Star Glow from 𝘼𝙀𝙇𝙔𝙎 to give that glowish effect on the character to then give off this final product, like this sort of little glow edge over here. Got that red, little green. Then yeah, I did some experimentation and found I really liked these this color form and this glow on this character. And that's so that's how I did the line work for the dark boxman thing. That's why they're also in one unique color, so it makes it much easier to color. So yeah, I did the characters. I also did like a face shot of them to really show the details of the face when I need to like reference it in the animation. One of the pre-planning thing I did was thinking about the environment of the fight scene that's gonna take place. This was the original of how I would plan the environment of the fight scene. So you can see how I did like a rough sketch of it, and to really sell the 3D look, I decided to draw a 3D red wire mesh over it to really picture it in 3D and sort of figure out how the space is going to look like in 3D. But I guess also another thing I guess I can show is perspective grids. So here I can show you that the perspective lines I used. Here it is. You can see all the perspective lines. So basically what I did is traced over the perspective of the buildings that I found have reference in. So I used a script and Photoshop to help me draw all these perspective lines.
What are your plans for the future? Like how you plan to improve your process for the future projects?
Future projects, huh? Improve, huh? I don't know, there's like so many things to improve because a lot of the things I did for the video was like experimentation and really trying out new things. Like I really tried compositing and I really tried backgrounds and such and the camera angles, so I guess everything needs to be improved. I guess maybe fight animation might need like a lot more fixing, and maybe also like the camera work, like as you said, from After Effects. I'm not too good with the camera movement and the panning and such, so I gotta work with those too. But yeah, so that in the future moving forward, there's like just gonna be lots of reworking and lots of experimenting and practicing my craft and future projects. Yeah, and the new thing I'll try and use would be 3D, and so I'll probably have to experiment that on the side, and then before I really like dive deep into it. So yeah, that's sort of my future of like how I plan to really improve, just to further explore and further practice my everything, because everything still needs improvement.
In questions department, I probably have everything extended, exceeded more or less. I can only give you some suggestions on the pipeline, but that's it.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Alright then, I guess that's pretty much it. I guess I'll just have to edit this video and post it onto my second channel for you guys to watch.
Yes,
Awesome stuff, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
No problem. Thank you for joining me. It was so much fun.
Thank you for being so awesome and doing a project like this.
Then, good job, man.
Thank you so much.
Very nice.
Oh, you guys are so
That was a
awesome.
really good job.
Really inspiring.
Whoa. Alright.
I don't know, something about like
Nice job.
Yay, I guess I'm just gonna go edit this video now. And post it onto my second channel so you guys can like rewatch it back. I'm also gonna post the part where we did our live watch too. That was really fun.
That was
Yeah,
super fun.
that was super fun. Pix missed out on all the fun. Poor Pix.
He did.
Well,
Yeah.
at least he can see the recording
True,
of the
true.
fun.
Yeah. You can only join for the
Really
side.
remember.
Yeah.
You guys need
that
to.
he didn't, was.
You guys are gonna have to stop throwing me out of a loop and just give me a bit of context.
Oh.
At least we're throwing you out of the loop and not under the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
true.
well, yeah, because that is kind of my job, to be fair.
Oh my god.